I've got a special feeding for Cinderella that will really challenge her seed sprouting abilities. Okay, so a few little burlap worms here hanging out. The burlap still seems to be a little wet, which is amazing. After 22 plus days, there's more worms on the burlap. So like I do with bubble wrap, I'm just gonna fold that in on itself and put it somewhere safe. Okay, so the seed packets I hid under here. Those are the coleus leaves. Still fairly intact after 20 some odd days, but then they weren't buried. Okay, so under the newspaper here, there are the seed packets. No signs of sprouts for any of the seeds in here. That's unusual. I thought for sure we'd get some seed sprouting. You can see lots of new casting activity on the surface. So the worms have definitely been around, still playing with this Starbucks liner. But yeah, they've eaten right through my old seed packets with no signs of sprouts. And I did check, these seed packets did have ungerminated seeds in the bottom of each of them. So that's another thing you can recycle then in your worm bins. Don't be afraid of putting seed packets in. And you know, even if they did sprout, I was kind of looking forward to that, of just turning it all under. All right, so here are Cinderella's worms, happy playing in their vermicompost. It is a little dry. I think the last time I was in here, I was remarking that I was worried it was going to be a little wet. Now I haven't been into the feeding zone yet, so maybe that's where all the moisture is. So let's just push this way. And this is that old fast food container. Okay, these coleus leaves definitely look like they've been munched around the edges. That could be pill bug activity. Unlikely to be real microbial, although there is a cocoon right on the edge of that coleus leaf. So there has definitely been worm activity. You can see the castings accumulating on the surface here. All right, so I had all that food buried in here. Oh, here's a sprout. Here's one sprout, something growing from my seed packets. So let's just see how the feeding zone went. The material is a lot more compressed in here. It's one of Cinderella's rose stems. I gave her my birthday roses. Yeah, there's the old feeding zone. But you can tell that these worms are, sorry, I'm moving the worm bin here. Oh, another sprout. That was coming, I think, from the feeding, not from the seed starts or the seed packets. But yeah, these worms are due for another feeding. They've pretty much converted everything to castings. And fortunately, I don't have a lot of food out for them right now. But I do have what I'm calling a feeding surprise. It'll be a surprise for them. Never given anything like this to a worm before. And it'll be a surprise for me. Now I'm smelling lemon, and there is the remnants of an old lemon that I gave Cinderella more than 3 weeks ago. So there, it's beautiful lemony smell, not rotten at all. And I knew there was a lemon in here, so the little bit of food that I have left has lots of eggshell grit on it. So I'm going to just add some plentiful new carbon in this area. Now, as you know, I've got these semi-inoculated things that were on the top of Cinderella. I think I'll keep the newspaper aside, but like these old bits of fast food container and everything, that's always a good base to serve up this week's new feeding. And then I've got some napkins here. Cinderella gets atypical things, some vitamin cotton, another Kleenex, Don't worry. You can blow your nose on your Kleenex and then feed it to your worms. They won't mind. All right, so I'm going to give her a handful of legitimate carbon as well. So just hold for that. This is just sifted aged leaves. I won't call it leaf mold, but sifted aged leaves. Then I've got the feeding here. An old bake container from another system. Not a lot of food, but there is a lot of powdered eggshell grit in it for that lemon. I'll just get the rest of that grit out of the bottom there. And it'll go into my garden as well to serve as a pH buffer in my garden as when the castings eventually make it there. Okay, I'm just going to put some more carbon on top of that. All right, so again, some more tissues here. A few more of the sifted leaves. That was not an extraordinarily wet feeding. In fact, it wasn't wet at all. I'm gonna do something I rarely do, which is mist down the feeding area. But that will also entice the worms over here. So I think we'll officially mark this as the start of a migration for Cinderella, because these castings look like they could come out of here in the bulk of this bin. So by making this end extra moist, I'm going to be tempting the worms to come over. All right, on top of the feeding, I'm going to give her a surprise. This is a head from our leeks that we harvested seeds, and we are growing those seeds in our garden. These are the remnants. There are going to be leek seeds in here. Look at that. We've taken out, probably 500-600 leek seeds from there. And, we're saving them for next year, and we're growing some of them this year. I'm just going to wet those down because they are dry, dry, dry. But let's see if we come back to a whole bunch of leek sprouts. And I will be tempted if I do just to move them to my garden, because I've been running these leek seeds through my fingers trying to get the little black seeds out. And I did, like I said, get hundreds out and saved them or planted them. But I think there are more. And Cinderella's beautiful, rich vermicompost is going to be the test case for that. So come on back, and we'll see how those leek seeds do over the next few weeks. Hi everyone, it's Sandra here, and I'm excited to see whether I've got leek seeds germinating. I actually have a little container here with some moisture on the bottom to pluck out any leeks that may have germinated from all those seeds I emptied into here. So let's take a look in here and see whether Cinderella has managed to sprout the leek seeds. Now, my research showed that leek seeds take between 8 and 16 days to germinate. It's been 12 days. I'm hoping we'll see something, because I know there were viable seeds that I put along with that dead stalk from the leek flower. The level seems to have dropped. So let's just take a look. There's a huge cocoon. These are from my Vancouver Island worms. I know they look like atypical cocoons, but that's what they look like. All right, let me zoom you in on this end, and we'll find out together whether there are any leek seeds. Okay, let's turn this over. I see pill bug activity. Lots of moisture. So remember, I wet it down quite thoroughly. These are probably the threads that were holding the little leek seeds at the end of the flower. There's the big stalk. That looks like plastic. Let me see if that is plastic, or no, that's just part of the leek. So there's the big stalk. Still very, oh, no. It's bending. That's good. It was stiff as a board when I put it in. Lots of worm activity. Like I said, the moisture would bring the worms with this migration. Any sprouting leeks? No sign in this corner. Lots of good moisture. Lots of good worms. Lots of cocoons. I don't know whether you're seeing them go by, but I am. Okay, there's some more fast food container. That's just carbon. Okay, let's go in this other corner. I put leek seeds all through here. Is that one sprouting? No. Lots of worm activity. They definitely like the leeks. This is after 12 days. It was a very small feeding except for the leeks. So definitely still worm activity in this area. Seeds, as you know, contain the food for plant germination. So they definitely contain goodness. And these worms are chowing down on that. That was the majority of the food that I put in here, were those leek seeds, because the food itself was probably 4 tablespoons of thawed food scraps and just that old bit of lemon. All right, everyone. So lots of worm activity where the leek seeds were, but it's 0 for 2 for Cinderella for germinating any of the seeds that I've given her. I gave her my old seed packets, and I knew there were like remnants of seeds left in the bottom of each one. And I gave her a dead leek flower that still had, I am sure, dozens of seeds that would have been viable had my fingers been managed to tease them out of that leek stem. So 0 for 2, but that shows you that worms eat anything that is dead, and that even though those were viable leek seeds, the microbes got to them before the seeds could germinate. All right, everyone. Bye for now.